switched on? Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much for that introduction, and it's lovely to be here today. I was a little bit worried after the Jimmy Wales presentation. Everybody seemed to disappear, and I thought I was going to be talking to an empty room. I'm actually terrified now that you've all come back. So thank you very much for that. One other thing before I kick off, my marketing director said to me, oh, take some pictures when you're there. So I thought I would, but I want this to be a bit more interactive, so I want you all to start waving at me there. I'm going to take a picture, and now I want you to start cheering. Woo! Come on, let's hear you, come on. Perfect. Thank you very much. Look at the hands go down straight away. It's like, no embarrassing. Okay, I'd like to start my presentation today by showing you a short video that gives you some background information about Inmobi's journey from our humble beginnings in a Bangalore coffee shop to an organisation now which has about 800 people working across the globe. So let's see if this works. Nope. Perfect. Okay, just imagine you've seen an awesome video. Excellent. So I was about to say, typically one of the challenges of creating a corporate video is that it goes out of date the minute that the director says cut. But my video didn't even work, so that's even worse. Anyway, so since that film was created, our business has continued to expand, and we now serve over 100 billion ad impressions every single month across the globe. And we reach something like 500 million unique users every month, which is a lot of people. And it just goes to underline the huge potential of mobile, right? I mean, there are literally millions of people with mobile devices. Hands up if you've got a mobile phone. Anybody not going to have? Hands up if you've got 2 mobile phones. Hands up if you've got 3. There's one guy over there. Get a life. Find something else to do. These are also statistics which have prompted venture capitalists like Kleiner Perkins and Sherpalo and the Japanese telecommunications company SoftBank to invest over $200 million in our company, which is awesome. So there's a lot of people here, but I think tonight, if you're still around, the drinks are on me, okay? I've got lots of money to spend. Our organisation reaches over 40% of all of the consumers worldwide who access the internet on their mobile phones. Our largest territory is APAC, which is obviously where we've come from. And Europe and the Middle East represents our second largest region. So we're an interesting company because unlike a lot of companies that start off in North America, come across to the UK, sort of get stuck in the UK because they can't speak French or German and decide not to go any further, we're actually going in the opposite direction. We started off in the emerging markets and we're moving back in the other direction. And the last 2 years have been really successful for us in winning a number of awards, both for the ad-serving technology which we run, but also for a lot of the campaigns that we do, and we've got some examples of that coming up in a minute. In addition to that, we've harnessed the collective power of our network to provide research and insights to lots of leading newspapers. So basically what we do is we look at this enormous network of ours and we cut it into different chunks, and we provide people with all the information that they need to know about trends which are emerging in the mobile space. On one occasion, this is a good example of something we did. We were meeting with a major consumer brand, and they were really interested to understand what people thought about their products in South America. We sat in a meeting with them, with their VP of marketing, and he was saying, we just don't know what's going on in Latin America with our company. So we said, well, why don't you let us find out for you? We'll run a survey on our network, we'll ask the consumers, what do they think about your products, and we'll let you know. And they were like, that's fantastic, how quickly can, when can we do this? Should we arrange to have this done in a month, or, do 6 weeks or something? How long will it take? We said, no, tell us the questions you want now, we'll go and run a survey tonight on the network and run it for 24 hours. We'll get loads of responses for users, because the guy over there with 3 phones has got nothing better to do than fill in surveys on his mobile phone, and we'll tell you the results, and that's exactly what we did. So my presentation today isn't working very well. Nice formatting. We did it on a Mac, that's probably the problem. Should have got the Microsoft guy in. So my presentation today is designed to try and provide you with some insights into where mobile advertising is heading. And you should see some words saying where mobile advertising is heading, but clearly you don't. The biggest trend, oh that's hideous. The biggest trend that we're seeing is that mobile is growing at a phenomenal rate, and that shouldn't come as any surprise to anybody, but it's going to continue to grow over the coming years at a speed and scale that outpaces anything that has come before. Nothing is growing as fast as mobile. The last 2 years have been absolutely transformative for the mobile industry. Mobile devices are changing the way consumers interact, communicate and shop. With the proliferation of smartphones, tablets, e-readers, handheld gaming systems and the rapidly evolving digital media environment, people now consume content anywhere and everywhere. Increased activity on mobile devices has been enabled by better networks, better devices, and now consumers are always connected and not only consume but actually produce content in a way that's never happened before. The amount of time that consumers spend with their mobile devices is also growing rapidly. And this increased mobile media consumption is also giving rise to a new category of services on mobile, including shopping, payments, mobile TV, and of course mobile advertising. Mobile is becoming the internet. Mobile is becoming digital. All these years we've talked about having a digital side to our marketing strategy. Well, that's what mobile needs to be right now. In December 2011, the mobile traffic worldwide increased to represent 10% of the global internet traffic, and that was back in December. Since then, it's been shooting up through the roof. And there was also a massive inflection point recently, because there's now more mobile devices being shipped than there are PCs and laptops. Let's see what this slide looks like. Oh, that's right. Between 2010 and 2011, there was a 165% increase in smartphone shipments and a 376% increase in tablet sales worldwide. By 2014, smartphones are forecasted to grow by another 216% and tablets by another 371%. That's a lot of percent. As devices continue to advance, many consumers will consider their mobile device as their primary device. It's their first screen. It's not the third screen, it's not the fourth screen, it's the first screen. For example, in research in the retail sector conducted by Forrester, it was found that when it comes to shopping, tablets are actually more of a substitute for desktop PCs than a smartphone complement. Consumers view tablets as the better tool for researching products and pricing information prior to visiting a store. In many parts of the world, especially in the emerging economies of Latin America and the Middle East, and across the various regions of APAC, mobile usage is driving internet penetration. One reason, particularly in the developing markets, is that mobile phones are just more affordable than PCs. This explains in part why mobile penetration in Asia Pacific is climbing more quickly than the PCs. And research firm IDC predicts that 40% of the world's population, or 2.7 billion people, will have access to the internet by 2015 through their mobile device. But the main point here is that it doesn't matter what the forecasters predict, it doesn't matter what numbers they throw out there, 200%, 300%, whatever. They can't keep up, they're constantly reforecasting because they can't keep up with the pace of the consumer. All right. That's not so bad. Okay, good. We recently ran some research on our own user base to try and understand their media consumption habits. And the results surprised even us. Amongst our users, the mobile phone is second only to the PC in the amount of time that people spend with their various media sources. So it's overtaken the TV. And having overtaken the TV, the question that needs to be asked is, what does this mean for marketers, right? Because still, marketers spend all of their budgets on TV advertising, and yet the consumers are no longer watching TV. They've started to move to different screens. And even if they are watching the TV, There'll be, like most of you out here today, dual screening. I can tell there's loads of people not paying attention because I can see you looking at your other devices. But that's cool. That's called dual screening. Carry on. I don't mind. We use our mobile phones, we use our mobile devices everywhere when we're commuting, when we're lying in bed. We even use them in the bathroom when you think there's much more pressing matters to hand. But no, we have our phones on all the time. They're the first things that we switch on in the morning, and the first things that we look at, even before we look at our husband or wife. And they're the last things that we look at before we go to sleep. So just quickly, I'm going to take you through some research, some information on what things look like in the Baltic region from our perspective. And the first point to note is that that looks terrible. Sorry. Ooh, this is interesting. I've got complete blank slides for my whole Baltic region. Who's got a delegate pack? Has everybody got a delegate pack? If you have a look in your delegate packs and pull out, you'll find that we've gotten some little infographics which give you information about the Baltic region, particularly Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia. I'm now going to give you a whole bunch of slides which won't show up on here, and I'm just going to talk to you about it, alright? So just bear with me on this one. Okay. So the first point to note is that this is not a complete picture of the Baltic market. No shit. But rather a picture of the Baltic market seen through our eyes. And clearly we've got very dark glasses on. So as you can see from the perspective of the device type, it's split between two very distinct trends. I'm going to have to remember these off the top of my head. Okay, in Estonia and Latvia, it's very much a smartphone market, whereas in Lithuania, it's still very much a feature phone market. The distinction we make there between smartphones and feature phones. Smartphones are iPhones, they're Android devices, kind of a RIM device, but not really, Windows Mobile, etc. Feature phones are the old Nokia devices, the Symbian devices, not the Nokia Lumia, that would count as a smartphone. But as you can see, you know, the results speak for themselves, clearly. Alright, 54% outgrowth. Alright. I'm going to wing this, in case you hadn't realised. What can be assumed from these findings is that Lithuania is only going to move one way, right? It's only going to become a smartphone market. Nobody's going backwards, nobody's getting feature phones and going backwards. Everybody's moving to a smartphone. The reason why smartphones don't necessarily have complete penetration everywhere is generally one of price. They tend to be too expensive for people until the lower cost devices come in, or it's down to the data packages which the operators put into place. However, when you look at the type of content that people are consuming from these slides, let's see if another one completely white. See where we get to before we actually. All right. I've got a marker now. Let me go back to this slide, which is my favourite of the whole presentation. In Latvia, we're seeing a strong growth in app traffic. And this is the question which often dominates the mind of any company which is beginning to embark on a mobile strategy. It's should you develop applications or should you build a mobile website? And the answer to this question is kind of a combination between research, good solid data, and also basic common sense, right? If you operate a business which can benefit from an application strategy, and you're in a market which has, like these ones, you know, a very strong smartphone penetration, then it might make sense to develop just for one platform. But if you want to reach as broad an audience as possible, then a mobile website is still probably the best way to go to start off with. Do you know what? I'm going to skip the rest of these ones because they're not going to do it for me. So now, I'd like to look at the way that mobile's affecting the usage behaviour of consumers. I think the rise of the app culture has caught a lot of people by surprise. Despite the fact that it's costly to have to develop apps for mobile, for multiple platforms rather than just creating it once for mobile web, the additional functionality and control that an app provides, alongside the positive monetization models, has led to the creation of millions upon millions of apps in the years since the launch of the iPhone. And with these apps has come a variety of business models. There's of course micropayments, paid for apps, which apply when a product is so desirable that people are actually prepared to click on the iTunes store and buy. There's also been a proliferation of in-app business models. You have the freemium model, where you receive the core functionality of the app, and a certain amount of the content, but if you want to get more of the content, then you have to pay. There's the on-demand content and in-app purchasing, where as you complete a certain level of the game, or once you've reached a certain section of the content, you have to pay for additional models. And all of these models, when they're tied to a really slick and secure payment gathering model like iTunes or operator billing, has led to an ecosystem where consumers are really comfortable in paying for things on their mobile phones. But for publishers where they're creating content which is highly commoditized, then such as news organizations or social networks, then the mobile advertising model is absolutely the right way to go. Okay. I'm completely lost. So, hang on a second. Mobile purchase. This is the worst presentation you've ever seen, isn't it? Come on, feel for me, feel for me. Okay. So let's talk about mobile advertising. Well, there's no point, we can't actually see it. Okay, so let's talk about mobile advertising. When compared to online advertising, mobile has been shown to be more effective than any of its online counterparts across all of the key marketing metrics, as you can see. Every brand metric, whatever it is, whether it's recognition, whether it's recall, whether it's conversion, these are what all the percentages are showing you right there. Mobile is more effective than online. The research firm MediaMind, which was formerly iBlaster, found that the average click-through rate on a mobile campaign was over 1%. And this was comparable, and this was 8 times, as high as the click-through rate for standard online banners in campaigns that also had at least one mobile ad. The research also showed that click rates vary by mobile operating system. iPhone and iPad users are much more likely to click on an ad than an Android device or BlackBerry devices, and we actually see the same things happening on our own network. But it's not just the click-through rate. Mobile is also incredibly powerful in helping to drive users through every stage of the purchase funnel. We ran a questionnaire on our network to understand a bit more about our users, to try and get them to tell us about their mobile shopping habits, and the results were fascinating. 42% of our users surveyed said that mobile advertising had introduced them to a new product or service. And similarly, while people are in discovery mode, researching products, 23% of them said that their mobile had helped them to discover a better option than the one they'd already been looking for. So for instance, if they were in store looking at an item, they'd use their mobile device to see if they could get better pricing or better availability from a different store or online. 26% of the people surveyed told us that they used their mobile to find a product or service that was nearby to them. And this is geolocation functionality, something which all of the other traditional marketing channels just can't match. What's also interesting is when you apply these questions to tablet users only, then the results are even more emphasised. 50% of tablet owners shop on their device at least once a week, and 12% shop on it every day. Okay, this is a picture of a shopping bag. Right, when you look at what people are doing actually inside the store itself, the mobile is becoming an increasingly important real-world shopping tool. So much so that Marks and Spencer's, which is a department store in the UK, have actually started to provide Wi-Fi access within their stores, because they know that people are using their mobiles as a shopping assistant, and they know that the network operator signal doesn't penetrate some of their larger stores. So they're giving people free Wi-Fi so that they can scan barcodes, so that they can do price comparisons, get better offers using their device right there in the store. Consumers are using their mobile device to get more information about the products that they're looking for, as well as searching for the best and the closest deals. They're taking pictures, comparing prices, looking for directions, scanning codes, and the mobile, as I say, has become their personal shopping assistant. Every time I click this clicker, I'm terrified. Okay. InMobi's research shows that mobile web users around the world are highly receptive to and actively use mobile ads to help them find new information and assist them throughout the shopping process. As a result, the mobile has changed the path to purchase from a set of sequential activities. For example, traditionally what people would do is they would do their research, they would look online, they'd make their decisions, then they'd go to the store and they'd make their purchase. That whole process has become jumbled up by mobile now. Mobile commerce is also gaining momentum. Over half of mobile web users have already used m-commerce. And mobile web users are purchasing both digital and also physical goods and services. Looking at our global consumption research, 53% of mobile web users have made a transaction on mobile. And in addition, the InMobi consumer perspective on mobile shopping study found that 58% of UK mobile web users had actually purchased digital or physical goods on their device. That's supposed to be moving, never mind. With all the power of HTML5 and rich media, as you can see from the screen, to make the most of your campaign, you need to optimize based on all of the data collated and take these learnings and apply them to future campaigns. Is there a part of the creative which works better for you? Is there a stage in the user journey where people are actually clicking on one specific thing? Does it make sense to switch out one image for another image to make the campaign successful? All of the aspects of the creative can be tracked and analysed to see how they work in the overall campaign. Moreover, additional features like which OS performed better, what types of publishers created the best ROI, and what types of users did the campaign resonate with the best, can be looked at to provide the advertiser with best practices and key learnings for the future. By building up your understanding of your key consumers, the types of creative that work best with them, you can start to build up a library of knowledge as to which campaigns work best and why that is. Mobile advertising has evolved. So it has. It's come a long way in a relatively short space of time, that's for sure. One of the great benefits of mobile advertising is the ability to target based around various different types of targeting segment. One of the things which is significantly different about the mobile in comparison with PC web advertising is you actually care about what operating system or what device people are using. If you're running a banner campaign online, you don't care whether somebody's connected on a Dell, on an Apple, on a Lenovo. A user is a user is a user to you. But on mobile, different device types are significantly different, have different consumers using those types of devices. So we absolutely care about whether we're serving an ad up on an iPhone 4S because we know that that type of user is probably a high-end user, or a Samsung Galaxy 3, whereas if somebody's connecting on a Nokia 6110, they need shooting and buying a new phone, but they're possibly a different type of individual that you want to run a different type of campaign for. You can target by location, you can target by industry segment. Time of day, day parting is incredibly important. People use their devices in various different modes. At some period of the day between 9 o'clock and 5 o'clock, they're going to be using their phone as a business tool. They're going to be in business mode. From 5 p.m. onwards, they're going to be using their device in personal mode. Same device, but the advertising which you want to give them at that stage needs to be significantly different. And all of these types of personalised targeting parameters are available on the mobile platform, unique to the mobile platform, and a combination which no other marketing channel can match. And as long as the advertising is relevant and well targeted to the users, then as we've already seen from our own research, they are more than happy to have good advertising on their device. Okay. So let's now turn our attention to the example on screen. Okay, this is really irritating because this is so cool. I'm going to tell you what happens, right? I might as well just give up the presentation clicker. So what happens in this one, right? The screen starts blank. Then after that, there's a picture of an American footballer, and he's standing in a stadium about to toss a ball, okay? He tosses the ball. The ball sails outside of the stadium and disappears off into the sky. And at that point in time, the ad unit, HTML5 Rich Media Ad Unit, calls the Google Maps API to understand where the user is, okay? The ball travels up out of the clouds and starts to descend down into a map which is getting closer and closer and closer to the location of that user. And as the ball descends right down to the bottom, another American footballer jumps up and catches the ball. And at that point, we've called the Google Street Maps image of exactly where that user is standing. Okay, so he's standing on a street, and in the example that you can see on screen here, it's right outside the InMobi offices in London on the Strand. But the guy's standing there, and all of a sudden the ad has pinpointed his direct location and engaged him in a way that no other media can. And at that stage, the user can then click to get routed to the shop where the product is being sold using the Google Maps API. It's very cool. Sure. A round of applause for that one, eh? Holy cow, this is going to go down in history. Okay. Here we go. Hey! Pictures. Okay. Advertisers are demanding... No, don't wait. There's a big ending coming. Advertisers are demanding more return on investment for their marketing spend. Well, we know that consumers are more responsive to targeted ads and personalised messages that provide a unique experience. So, innovative, interactive ad formats, the devices that consumers use, information provided by publishers and third-party data are only a few sources of the information that is available to help target and message ads to consumers. It's now the challenge of marketers. Any marketers in the audience, let me throw it over to you. I always ask this question, it's like, I almost think, what am I doing here? Any marketers in the audience? What are the rest of you doing listening to my presentation? All right. Okay. It's now the challenge of marketers, you four people, and ad networks like InMobi, us, to utilise the plethora of data to provide the experiences that consumers want and the return on investment that advertisers are demanding. It's a difficult balance. There will be an increased demand for real-time campaign insight, and this is what we're trying to emphasise in the one slide which works. Which is, you've got to use data in order to be effective in the new marketing world. You've got to understand your user. You've got to understand their journey. You've got to find out, at what stage does it work? When didn't it work? And how do we change that? How do we innovate? The key to unlocking all of this is a terrible slide that looks horrible again. But it's Rich Media HTML5. We were so excited about Rich Media HTML5 that once we got our $200 million from SoftBank, we ran straight out and spent a whole bunch of it on an HTML5 authoring platform which enables advertisers, agencies to create these incredibly immersive rich media campaigns without the need of coding and hiring Java developers on day rates. They just use it as a combination between PowerPoint and Photoshop to create these incredible rich media ads, like the Super Bowl one that I showed you earlier. One of the great things about HTML5 is it runs across all platforms, right? I mean, I don't know how many of you have got websites which maybe use Flash, but if you've got a huge number of users coming to your website using either an iPad or an iOS device, then all of your investment in that Flash website is not going to work because it doesn't render. It renders about as well as my slides do. But HTML5 solves all of that problem, so we absolutely are fundamental believers in this is the way that we need to go. Are you going to do anything? As we click stopped, please tell me my clicker stopped. Sorry, I've run forward. Oh. Okay, right. Case study number 2, let's go to that one. Right, I'm going to tell you about another ad, right? This is a really cool ad. We ran this one for Ford. I've anybody tell me how much time I've got? I've got no idea about time now. This is a campaign that we ran for Ford with Mindshare in Sweden. It was very, very cool. And it was for the, I think it's the Ford. Anyway, it's this really cool van which has loads of space in the inside. So what happened was, you tap the banner ad on the top, and an expandable comes down, taking over the whole of the screen. At that stage, the car drives on, okay, and behind it there's a football goal. The car doors open up on both sides, and you've got a little football in front of you, and you flick with your finger to try and, this is what happens, right? Oh, he's hit the car. Oh, he's hit the car again. And then, in this example, goes straight through the car, showing how much space there is in the car, into the back of the net, which is the key to unlock the video, which then plays to show how cool this car is. It's a really, really nice case study. I'm getting quite good at these now. I'm going to do this one as well. This is really, really excellent. So, as you can see, we won an award for this one, if you can believe that. Yeah, won an award for this one. This is for Sega Samurai. It was a Sega game called Samurai Blood Show. I don't know whether any of you have ever played it. You could download it if you wanted to. That will get us a few more downloads on our cost per download. Basically, what happens with it is a card-based strategy game. And it was an app which you had to download. And so what we did, with HTML5 functionality, using our Sprout Builder, we created an entire level of the game actually in the ad. So you clicked on the banner, it expanded to the entire screen, and it's like a card-based strategy game. So you have all of your warriors, and you have an enemy that's coming towards you, and you have to put your warriors into certain places to defeat the enemy. And if you do successfully defeat the enemy, because you've used the game correctly and you've worked your strategy out, it says, congratulations, you're victorious. And if you haven't, it says, unlucky, why don't you try again and see if you're better next time. But the whole point of it is, we're actually taking an entire level of the game and building it into the ad. Okay, so users not only get a chance to see this game which they think they might want to download, but they also get a chance to actually try out the game mechanics and understand whether they're going to like it before they actually go ahead and buy it. It's very cool. We'll have to try and make some of this available to you guys. Go onto our website and you can download all these case studies. They're really cool, inmobi.com. I mentioned this point before, and I'm just going to come back to it. How bad is that rendered? That N is just hideous. Televisio versus mobile. This is the point that I want to make to everybody in the audience, right? The consumers are so fast in the mobile world. They move so much more quickly than we do. They move faster than the marketers can keep up with. Marketers are always thinking, do what we did last time. Don't make mistakes. The agencies are thinking, don't get fired by the consumer, by our brand. Do what we did last time because it works. But if last time it was all about just spending lots of money on television, you're out of date, mate. The consumers have gone. They've gone over here. They're starting to use their devices more than they're using television. There's a massive discrepancy between the amount of money that's being spent on television and the amount of money that's being spent on mobile right now. And yet, the consumers are using their mobile devices more than they're using television. And even if they are watching TV, they're like my kids, right? We sit in the house watching television at night, and I'm sat there with my iPhone, planning my next presentation. My wife's sitting there with her iPad shopping because she can't help herself. She loves it. My kids are playing either on their PSP, PlayStation, or their BlackBerry Messenger in each other, or they're using the iPhone that I've given to my daughter because I had to get the iPhone 4S, which meant she could have the iPhone 3. And we're sitting there and we're all playing, and something will happen on the telly, and we'll all go, oh right, yeah, and then we're back down here on our devices. The ad breaks come on, and we're all like, oh, you've got to get your ad down here. If you're running a campaign up here, get it down here as well, because otherwise you're missing the consumer. This is really cool, this one, right? Demo number 4. So, this is cool, right? This was National Geographic, and it was this like shark attack film. And it was all about these problems with, how people survive shark attacks. And what you had to do is you have to wave your little mobile phone, and you actually get an ad which was day-parted to run at the same time as this show. And it's got a little game in it, again built in HTML5 in our platform. It's got a little game where the shark is coming at you. It's just coming at the screen at you, and you have to hit it in the eyes and hit it in the gills, and just try and use all the techniques that you've learned through the program in order to fend off these sharks. Really cool. I loved it. So, in summary, never hire InMobi to do your PowerPoint presentations. Fact number one. In fact, I'll leave it there. Now, in summary, the growth of mobile is enormous, right? We have to be in step with this. We have to be moving forward with it, because if you're not, you're going to be left behind, and your competitors are going to be all over that audience. The users are using mobile devices in ways that none of us can imagine. They're the ones that are pushing the forefront of all of these developments in mobile. They're the ones that are creating the content nowadays. It's no longer broadcast, it's them sending stuff back up to us. And we need, as marketers and as agencies, to be absolutely in tune with what's happening there. Mobile is going to be all about m-commerce. Users are using their devices as personal shopping tools, shopping assistants, in order to help them make good purchasing decisions when they're right there in the store. And you've got to use data. There's so much data available. There's so many ways to understand what does work, what doesn't work. You have to be using data in your planning processes. And if you're not, you're going to be left behind, but you're going to miss what the big opportunities are. Okay, you're going to miss what people are doing. You have to be experimenting now. You can't just wait and say next year is going to be the year of mobile. Okay, I know we've said next year is going to be the year of mobile. I've been saying that for 10 years. 1 year I'll be right, but we are getting to that stage where it's kind of like it might have been last year was the year of mobile, and next year is like the year of even more mobile. So you've got to be on top of that. And with that hideous disaster of a presentation, and I can tap dance as well now for you. I'm now going to say thank you very much and open it up to some excellent questions. Thank you.
We have one question from our online viewers. So, how does a super fast changing mobile device technologies impact mobile advertising? Smartphones are changing almost every week.
Yeah, I think it's the combination of all of the functionality that's embedded within the phone. It can do so many things. It can be used in so many ways. That just putting up a banner and hoping somebody's going to click on it is not nearly enough. You've got to be using all of the different aspects of the phone, the accelerometer which moves as you tilt it, the finger usage, the way people interact with the device itself. Your advertising's got to do the same thing. You can't just take HTML5 from the web and just drop it down onto the device, because as we saw from the previous presentation, the mouse is dead, right? And so everything, you used to use a mouse when you did HTML5 on a PC, but now you're using your finger to move around on the device, so it's completely different. The future is going to be things like the phone will know how hot it is, so why don't we run some ads, promoting ice cream because it's a really hot day? Or the phone knows that the pollen count's massive, so we should be running ad campaigns which promote hay fever allergy tablets. It's using all of the unique capabilities of the device in a sensible, smart, effective way to create campaigns which are absolutely immersive for people, which really get their attention and then take them down that purchase funnel.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
Hello, Algirdo Stoneman from Telesoft's mobile application company.
Hey.
I just have a question regarding the customers of mobile advertising companies. How should mobile advertising company focus their business model? Do you think the customers are already educated enough to create their own ads with HTML5? So mobile advertising companies could focus on creating like frameworks, and then just charge them on cost per impression progression and cost per redemption, or would it be better to use a business model as a marketing campaign company and then create those ads for your customers?
Yeah.
So how do you think it is better now?
It's a really good question. How many agencies have we got in the room today? Creative types? Creative agencies? Okay. I was at a conference the other week and we were doing rich media campaign presentations. It was like a competition, it was like X Factor for HTML5. I showed some of these ones which didn't work today. And we were asked, the mobile ad networks had been asked to present examples of our best creatives. And one guy on the panel said, you know, it's all very well the mobile ad network standing up and doing this, but it shouldn't be us doing it. It should be the creative agencies who should be embracing this technology. And he put a challenge out to everybody in the room, and I do the same to everybody here. You know, the creative agencies, the digital agencies, you are the guys that should be creating fantastic campaigns and really integrating mobile into your strategy. You shouldn't be leaving it to the mobile ad networks to do that. I think to answer your question, that's just a plea from me, but to answer your question in a little more detail, the media planning world seems to be becoming very, very commoditized, and it's increasingly difficult for agencies to achieve any kind of meaningful margin out of just being a planning agency or a buying agency. And so the opportunity to actually, you know, take a stand and be the guys that are doing the strategy, doing the creative, doing all of the build, I think does offer them an opportunity to put more margin into the overall work that they're doing. So, you know, you need to be able to do that in a scalable way. It's no good hiring 20,000 Java developers to come and hand code everything for you. You've got to use tools which are out there, and Sprout is one of them, but there are more out there. You've got to use the tools which make it easy for you to do these things, and it's not about the tool or the building of it, it's about the application of it, it's about the creative idea, it's about using the power of the device in order to create compelling campaigns. Brands are never going to want to know about that, they're going to want somebody to do it for them, so there's a great opportunity out there.
Thank you. Any more questions?
Just let me go home. Just let me go.
Seems like no. Thank you.